Welcome back to This Is Your Life, Barry Spanjaard, concentration camp survivor. January 21st, 1945, on your 655th day behind electrical barbed wire, freedom arrives unexpectedly when the Nazis discover that they can get 5 of their German officers back in exchange for you and your family. You half carry, half drag your father to the truck, which takes you to a Red Cross passenger train waiting at Salé Station. Instead of the usual cold, drab, and overcrowded cattle cars that you've become used to, you board a warm Red Cross passenger train which takes you to the German-Swiss border. Your father, down to just 65 pounds, has to be hospitalized and dies on his 3rd day of freedom. You and your mother, though, are unable to attend his funeral since United States authorities have issued orders for everyone to sail for America that very day.
Barry, this is truly a miracle and a thrill of a lifetime for an old Red Cross worker.
Barry, you've been looking for someone who helped you on that boat to America for 38 years, and we found her for you. Here from Newberry, South Carolina, former liaison from the Red Cross Gripsholm Crossing, Martha Vance Ellisor. Now, Martha, please.
I wore this outfit especially in your honor tonight, and to help you remember, Barry, I want you to know that tonight I am filled with fond memories of that little courageous boy who in 1945, with the wounded prisoners of war, came over the German border, and we were on our way to Switzerland and the Grip Zone.
Oh,
and it did not take you long after you boarded that ship to discover all of the new clothes, all of the amusements, but the best part of all was that delicious food. And my, how you enjoyed that and how you gained in weight. But you were an inspiration to all of us, particularly when that sparkle came back in your eye. You were an inspiration then, and you still are to all who know you now. Bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martha Vance Ellisor. Please have a seat with Barry's family. And we'll see you later after the show. Thank you, Martha. Now, Barry, I know you'll recognize this song.
Oh, give me land, lots of land.
As the freedom ship Gripsholm passes the Statue of Liberty, loudspeakers blast out Cole Porter's "Don't Fence Me In" to salute the returnees. Soon, Barry, your mother begins traveling, raising funds for the United Jewish Appeal. But you enroll in military school. Later, you move to New Rochelle, New York, where you live with Adele Baum, a friend of your mother's, while your mother is traveling and you're finishing high school. In 1952, you marry your first wife, Faith. 1953, the Korean War. You're drafted and ironically sent right back to Germany. Now, Barry, how did it feel? I mean, going back to Germany, of all places.
That was very difficult.
It was?
Yeah. I mean, my biggest fear was what would my reaction be if I ran into somebody from the camps, a guard.
Yeah.
And here I did have, you know, a weapon. And I don't know what I would have. Thank God it never happened.
Good.
And to this day, I really don't know how I would have reacted.
You're mustered out of the service and returned to the U.S., where you go from one job to another, all the while seldom mentioning the horrors that you've been through. In 1968, your first marriage ends in divorce. But 3 years later, you meet this lovely lady who's been sitting quietly by your side all evening. Her name then was Bunny Germain. And in 1974, you persuaded her to change it to Bunny Germain Spanjaard. Now, Bunny, you got to tell me, was it love at first sight?
It was magic time.
Good.
It was magic. We had everything in common. Our sense of humor, we were both divorced, Jewish, all our values were the same. He was so very open about things, but he was closed about just one part of his life, and that was his childhood. And finally, one day, he told me that he had moved to Holland when he was 3 and came back to the United States when he was 15. And I said, oh my God, you must have been over there during the war. What happened? And he mumbled something about Bergen-Belsen, and then he wouldn't talk about it anymore.
So then that's how you found out. But how did you feel when you discovered this?
I if possible, I loved him more. Especially when we took a trip to Holland and we visited the Anne Frank house in Westerbork. And Barry, piece by piece, bit by bit, would open up to me. And that's where he told me that he had written down all of his experiences.
Barry, you kept from speaking about it for so many years. Now, has lecturing and publishing the book, your book, Don't Fence Me In, changed your life, your outlook in any way?
I feel that I'm really doing something good with my life now. I feel that in my own little way, I am perhaps preventing it from happening again.
Barry Spanjaard, during the freezing winter days when you toss restlessly on that dirty straw mattress with lice swarming over your body, your belly swollen with hunger at the Bergen-Belsen death camp, you question the very purpose of life. You see men, even former robust athletes like your father, reduced to skeletons. They sit down, they close their eyes and die from starvation and hopelessness, or else they throw themselves against the electrical fences and are electrocuted. For over 30 years afterwards, you seldom even mention this nightmare that is your past. You attempt to bury it, but the demons will not let you rest. Then you meet and marry this wonderful lady, whose loving acceptance encourages you to confront your nightmare. And as you begin to talk about the horrors you experienced, you provide an example of courage and sacrifice that gives comfort not only to you, but a meaningful influence for those many people who hear you. Such as this person, one of many who has never met you, but upon whose life you have had a very deep influence.
Mr. Spanjaard, you saved my life.
That's the voice of 19-year-old Stephanie Jansen, who heard your lecture at her high school assembly in 1980. Stephanie?
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
You're the girl that broke me that
That's all right.
You okay now?
Sit
Yeah,
down.
I'm fine.
Sit down. Be comfortable.
Oh, my God.
When I heard you talk and tell me about your life, I was very touched. I began to cry. My parents and I were having problems. My girlfriend in high school quit. I was insecure. I just felt real lonely, and I thought I had the worst life of them all. And when you came to the school and talked, I thought, my goodness, his problems are so much worse than mine, and my life's a piece of cake. And now I'm going to college. I want to become a nurse or a doctor, and I also want to do something for someone as you did for me. And I want to thank you very much.
Thank you, sweetheart.
And thank you very much, Stephanie Jansen.
It was at San Marcos High School, right? In Santa Barbara.
Barry
I
Spanjaard,
remember it.
you who once felt a stranger in your own country, you are one of its great resources. You bring your cautionary message to the young, those you call the future. You do this to make them realize that it is their responsibility to see that history does not repeat itself. You believe that will not happen because, like Anne Frank, who died at Bergen-Belsen death camp while you lived, you subscribe to her sentiment. In spite of everything, I believe in the goodness of people. Barry Spanjaard, this is your life.